Well, I believe I am on. Let's just make sure. There we are. All right. Happy Thursday and welcome to Mindful Moments, streaming live from Instagram and YouTube. All replays will be hosted on bit.ly/help. All lowercase, no spaces. But again, I want to welcome you to Mindful Moment. I am Tawana, and every Thursday at 12:30, I am here to pause on purpose to help equip and reimagine how we live, love, and lead in real life. And so take this moment to take a time to sit back and just reflect and engage. Put in the comments where you are from, where you are watching from, how you're engaging in the content that we're going through. And if you're watching on the replay, then do the same. Again, you can catch all replays on demand at bit.ly/TL Collaborative help for all replays on demand. All right, so today, y'all, I really want to share how Isaiah 41 helped me. In my journal time, I was reading Isaiah 41, and this came up. And when I say helped me, yes, there is a pun intended, because this mindful moment is called the right kind of help. And it helped me to see something about what the right kind of help really looked like. Because let's be honest, we all love the idea of help, but sometimes what we actually call help is just somebody agreeing with us or doing things our way or standing on the same side, looking at the same stuff. And that's not always the right kind of help. And so if we look at Isaiah 41:10, 41, chapter 41, verses 10 and 13, this really did open my eyes to something different. And I'll be reading from the NIV version, and it says, God says in this, I will hold you with my righteous right hand. I will take I will take hold of your right hand and say to you, do not fear, I will help you. And listen, he didn't just say he'd be nearby or that he'd cheer you from the sidelines. He actually said he will take hold of your right hand with his right hand. Now, that's very, very, very specific. And here's where it actually hit me. When two people are holding hands, they are not standing side by side. Like when two people are holding the right hands, they're not standing side by side. They can't. You can't hold someone's right hand and stand beside them. We could physically do it, but it would look and feel awkward. They're standing side by side, holding right hands. They're not standing side by side. They're actually standing looking in opposite directions. They're not even looking at the same thing when you're holding right hands the correct way. They're face to face. They're looking at each other, which means that they're in opposite directions. And in other words, one sees what the other doesn't. And for me, what that communicated was covering. Like I have your back and you have mine, literally. Now that's help. That's the right kind of help. And so I want to break that down just a little bit. I thought of Ecclesiastes when I was thinking about having each other's back, and particularly Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 through 10, and then skipping down to verses 12. And this is also in the NIV version. And it says that two are better than one because if either falls, one can help the other up. Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. And it talks about the fortitude of three, but I wanted to stop there because this kind of goes into the point that I'm making. Now, let me show you something in that in particularly. It is difficult to help somebody up if you're grabbing the wrong hand. If I fall and I try and you try to pull me up with your mirrored hand, meaning your right hand in my left hand, it's awkward. It gets really awkward real quick. Like you're pulling side to side, we're tugging, it's not stable. We may even hurt ourselves in the effort of trying to do this silly looking thing. Or if we're standing side by side, it really doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. So we just look ridiculous. It's not happening. And in order to really help somebody up, you have to use the right hand, and that's pun intended. The correct hand, you have to reach with the correct hand that gives strength and gives stability. And here's the interesting part about that: the dominance of the hand doesn't depend on the one being helped, it actually depends on the helper. So, for example, I'm right handed. If I had fallen and a left handed person came to help me, they would use their left hand to provide support in stabilizing me and helping me up. And they'd naturally reach out for my left hand with their left hand because that's their strong hand to do so. And that would be the right, in other words, the correct hand. And what does that show us? And what it showed me is sometimes the help that we receive won't come the way that you expect it. The strength of the helper depends or determines the reach. You might be waiting for someone to pull on your right hand, but God is actually sending somebody with the strength in their left. And so the question is, are you willing to take the hand that's offered, even if it's not the hand you thought it would be? Because that might be the exact hand that has the strength to pull you up. And sometimes we talk about this is the hand that I was dealt. And we usually talk about that in a negative sense of this is the hand that I was dealt. So I just have to make the best of it. But this is exactly what that is. Are you willing to take that hand because of the strength? Because sometimes the hand that we're dealt is the hand that is going to offer us the strength because we got to get through some things to get to some things. And I want you to really think about that. Like, how are you holding hands right now? The ones who are helping you and the ones you are helping. Are you gripping them loosely? Are you half distracted or fully engaged? I remember when my daughter was young, my oldest daughter was younger, and she'd be upset with you, and we might be going somewhere or walking somewhere, let's say the mall, and she couldn't get something. And so I would be like, here, give me your hand. So we're walking through the mall, and she would like literally have her hand like limp like this. Like it would be really limp. She wouldn't grip, she wouldn't hold. This was her way of letting me know that she's upset with me and she didn't want to be connected. And so that's the idea here. Are you loosely gripping? Are you distracted? Are you disengaged? Are you not connected? Are you demanding the sameness or allowing for space of different perspectives that actually cover you? And has your back to see things that you can't see or are not looking at, like being able to hold hands, the right hand in the right hand, so that you can look opposite directions. Are you willing to do that? And Proverbs 27:17 says, iron sharpens iron. So one person sharpens another. Now, let me tell you something. A lot of us quote that scripture really easy, but most often, most of us haven't even really actually seen iron sharpening iron unless we've seen it on TV. Now, I actually seen it before. One time in real life, in my life, I was in like the sixth grade and we went on a field trip. And I think it was like at some Amish place. I was trying to look it up to find the exact place in my mind. I was trying to visualize what this looks like, but I'm doing this um, trying to remember from a sixth grade perspective, 10, 11 years old. But I do remember that we saw leather makers, we saw people making shoes, we saw different mills. And one of the biggest things I remembered is I remember we made rock candy on a string. And back then it was fascinating, the sugar crystallizing on this string. And I was like, wow. But today it actually really looks like a toothache and a high dentist bill. And my daughter asked for it. I'm like, absolutely not. That's disgusting. No, but I do remember that. But anyways, one of those mills was an iron mill. And I can still see it and I can still remember that the man was sharpening iron. And listen, there were sparks flying everywhere that we had to stand back because it wasn't safe to see it up or to be up close for it. The man even had a mask, one of those big metal masks on his face. I don't know if it's metal, but whatever that material is very protective over his face with that clear see-through covering so that he can still protect his eyes from the spark. And as I think about that today, and the point I want to get you to see is sharpening isn't smooth. It's not quiet. It's not comfortable. There are sparks that will be flying, and you better have protection in the process. And so now, if you've never seen iron sharpening iron in real life or even on TV, you have at least seen a pencil sharpened. And everyone has seen that before. And the truth is, even though it's not the same picture, it's not the same symbolization with regards to the sparks flying, in order for that pencil to be sharpened, something has to shed. The layer has to come off. A layer has to come off. What's dead and not useful anymore has to go so that the pencil can now do what it was made to do. And that's what the right help looks like sometimes. It's not smooth and it's not pretty. It may spark. It may even feel like you're losing something, but it's shedding what no longer serves you so that you can be refined. It's sharpening, and that's the right kind of help. Now, let me bring this home so that you can begin to kind of apply this. And before we kind of end our time here, I shared this on many platforms, and it's not a secret that my daughter lives with ADHD, and I've been learning more than I could have ever thought I would learn, or that it was even possible to learn, as her mother and her number one advocate in this, in her life, and what she has to live with. And let me tell you, there is so much to know, so much. It is not just the busybodiness. There is a lot to unpack. And so God is really, really preparing me and downloading me, there's just a lot to learn, and I'm really grateful for a lot of it. And it's a sharpening process. It is a definitely a sharpening process, but I've been walking through this advocacy. I'm advocating for her in school, and this has not been a smooth process. There have been sparks. There have been moments where I wanted to say, "You're not helping," because their perspectives and mine may not always line up. But here's the thing: help doesn't always look like agreement. Sometimes it looks like tension. Sometimes it looks like a tug. And sometimes that tug and that tension is to help both parties see what they are not looking at. And sometimes it looks like somebody facing the opposite way, but still holding your hand, even in that loose grip, to realize that I need to hold on tight for that protection. And that's what Isaiah 41 taught me. Even in my parenting, even in my advocacy, the right kind of help is not sameness. It's covering. It's having somebody see what I can't see while I see what they can't. That's what creates that sustainability. That's what partnership really looks like. And so then I started thinking about another scripture, or I came across another scripture in this and wasn't thinking about it. Like, this was came across it, and I was like, oh wow, that really does speak to it. And I'm going to read this out of the NLT version, but it's Galatians chapter 6 verses 2 and 3, and it says, y'all ain't gonna believe how it says this, because when I read it, I was like, that's just plain as day. But it says, share each other's burden, and in this way obey the law of Christ. If you think you are too important to help someone, you are only fooling yourself. You are not that important. You are not that important. The right hand of help is not just a quick pull up, it's actually carrying the weight together. And if you don't think that that's your responsibility, then you got it twisted. You are not that important. But notice it also checks your pride in that scripture. It sure has checked mine when I read that. Like, wow, when I thought about the advocacy phase of my life, because sometimes we resist help out of pride, or we try to help in a way that crushes somebody else because we think we're helping. And humility actually sustains real help, because help in the absence of humility isn't actually help, it's actually control. So now I want to take some of this time, and I want you to take some of your time, in your quiet moments, to really reflect and ask yourself some real life things. Like, how am I holding hands in my family? How am I holding hands in my leadership? How am I holding hands in my friendships? Am I resisting the sparks and the shedding because it doesn't feel good? Or it feels like it will just be too much? It feel like it would be just too much work? Good afternoon. Or what does it look like to humble myself to carry and be carried. What does it look like for me to remember and be reminded I am not that important? Like Galatians said, when it comes to my thought process of if I'm helping or if I'm not helping. And here's how you begin to take all of this that I've talked about and really make the shift practical. I like to think about think when you're thinking about this, think presence, perspective, and posture. And so in presence, ask yourself, am I fully engaged in the hand grip? Or am I like my daughter where I was just like, oh, I'm still upset, so I don't really want to hold? Do I silence distractions long enough to give people my real attention? This means eye contact, active listening, and being honest about when you can't show up fully. Like for me, this is where I ask, have I slowed down enough to actually hold this hand the right way, hold the right hand, or am I halfway here and halfway somewhere else? When we think about perspective, ask, am I holding for sameness or am I open to coverage from a different angle? I'm learning that the right kind of help is not cloning my way of thinking. It's being willing to see someone else's way, or see what I can't see. Willing to see what I can't see through someone else. And practically, that means I stop shutting down perspectives that feel uncomfortable and lean in with curiosity, asking questions for understanding and not asking questions for doubt, but really trying to get a perspective. And can you be willing to trust that someone else's vantage point could actually be God's provision for you right now? Like when we think about posture, ask, am I equating help with agreement or allowing it to mean strength, protection, and true growth? Remember, the posture is humility. It's releasing the need to be right in order to receive what's right, pun intended, against the right kind of help. Practically, that means you pause before reacting, you ask clarifying questions, and you measure growth by obedience and refinement, not comfort. Like, are you not doing the thing because it doesn't feel good right now? Are you willing to shed something old, even if it sparks, so that you can sharpen into what you're supposed to be and also help someone else to do the same? So I want you to take this and walk this through your roles for this week in your life, with your family and friends, in your parenting or your leadership, and ask yourself, how am I holding hands? Am I holding the right way? Am I holding the right hand? Like Isaiah 41 showed me the right kind of help, the help that upholds strength and it never lets go. And I would be remiss throughout this whole thing if I didn't mention some good news here. Like, even when no one else is holding your right hand, God says in Isaiah 41 and 10, he says, I will hold you with my righteous right hand. That means you are never without the right kind of help. So keep your hands in his hand. But that also gives you the simulation of understanding what it looks like to hold the hands of others, what it looks like to have the right kind of help in your relationships, in your leadership, in your life. And now here's what I want you to take, how I want you to take it further, because these mindful moments aren't just one live session a week. They're actually building something that you can actually hold on to in real life, day by day by day. And so here's some big news. If these mindful moments have been speaking to you, I want you to know that there is more. I mentioned this last week that the Mindful Moments Reset series is now available. This is a self-guided, on-demand coaching resource that really helps you to unpack what you've been surviving and start rebuilding what you can actually sustain in your life, in your home, and in your relationships. And this is at your own pace. I put in the comments the website, bit.ly/. If you are watching on if you are watching on YouTube, then you see it on your screen where you can locate it. But be the first to get your access to it. It is jam-packed with a combination of mindful moments, not all of them, but just some of them, so that you can be able to take some time with this and sit with this as well. And you can visit, like I said, on the website for that. You also can see all of these on demand. You can get the replays on demand for free on the website. Same website there, all lowercase. But that is it for now, I will see you all next week, Thursday, same time, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another mindful moment. And as always, just thank you for showing up for yourself and on this time. And oh, be sure to subscribe for updates and share with your crew if this helped you. The replays will no longer be housed on Instagram, but they will be housed on that website there so that you can see. But share it with a friend who you think this may have been helpful for. But as always, again, thank you, thank you, thank you, and God bless.